welcome back. Will Worsham joins us now for this week's Speaking Legal discussion. Always good to see you.
Nice
Thanks
to
for
see
coming
you.
here.
Good to see you too.
Are you ready for the...
Yeah, you bet.
Let's take a look at today's question. What does constitutional carry really mean now that it is passed in Missouri?
Okay.
Brand
Will.
new subject here, right?
Yeah, we haven't talked about this much, but really what it did is, in order to understand it, you've got to kind of go back and know where we've come from in Missouri. And Missouri was one of those states at one point you couldn't get a concealed carry permit. Nobody could. It was prohibited.
Right.
Now, Missouri has always been, or at least from the time I can remember, an open carry state. It's always been legal in the state of Missouri to carry your firearm openly. But if you concealed it, it was illegal. It's violations of it's one of the sections of the unlawful use of a weapon statute. Then a few years ago, several years ago, they amended that statute and created the permitting system where if you met certain criteria, complied with the training requirement, safety seminar, you could get a concealed weapon permit as long as you met other requirements, and the sheriff would grant that to you.
Right.
And so then certain people could do that and carry their concealed carry permit. That was allowed people to carry in most places. There's some prohibited locations where you could not carry with a concealed carry permit, most notably courthouses, federal buildings, places like that.
But they post it a lot of times too.
Well, that's a different prohibition there.
Okay.
Private businesses could post a sign which had to comply with certain requirements. The sign had to be at least so big and have letters at least so high that said concealed weapons were not permitted. And then you weren't supposed to carry in there. But the caveat to that was if you did, first of all, if it was concealed, most people wouldn't know anyway.
Right.
But second of all, that was not a criminal law
Yeah, how
to
do you
violate
enforce
that.
something that, you know, it's... They don't have the right to say what the law is. The law is already there. It's written. You can.
Well, but the sign said you can't. And so if a business posted that sign and said you can't carry your concealed weapons here, and this is relevant because this still applies today, and still will apply under constitutional carry, if you carried your weapon there and the owner knew it, they could ask you to leave. But it was not a violation of criminal law to carry in a place where they had it posted not to carry for that purpose. And that still applies under constitutional carry, which takes effect on January 1st, 2017. All that really changed on the concealed carry part is you no longer have to go to training, you no longer have to get a permit. Anybody 19 years or older can carry a concealed weapon anywhere that it's legal to do so. If they're allowed to legally own a gun is essentially the way that works.
Is there still the procedure of background check, that sort of thing?
Well, that's for purchasing the firearm. That's a federal statute and applies to federal firearms dealer. The place where most people see a loophole in that is that in Missouri, it's also no longer required to have a permit to transfer a handgun in a private sale. So if I was to sell you a handgun as a private dealer, there would be no permit required. I wouldn't have to do a background check. So that's where people kind of see a loophole in all this, is through the private transaction.
This gets sticky because in the Constitution, the Second Amendment, we all have the right. But the states can change that or alter it and make it fit. Is that how it works?
Well, that's the great debate, is whether states really do have the right to alter that or not. What the legislature in Missouri ultimately said is, whether we do or not, we're not going to in this situation. But still, Missouri, as does every state, has placed some limits on that constitutional right. We say a felon can't own or possess a firearm. That's clearly a limitation.
The Constitution itself doesn't, the Second Amendment doesn't say that.
No,
it says
does
we
not.
have the right to bear arms, that sort of thing.
And so we all agree that there are some reasonable restrictions. There are certain people we don't want to be able to legally have guns. Now, whether or not the laws actually are effective in doing that's a whole nother debate.
People don't obey the laws,
especially criminals.
Yeah,
that's kind of where this all...
Ergo the name criminal.
So the effectiveness of any gun control laws is sort of inherently suspect because of that fact right there, Kelly. Now, this statute actually did a lot more than change just the constitutional carry. It enacted a couple other provisions as well. One is it extended the castle doctrine, which says if you're in your house, you have the right to defend it, to people not just owners of the house, but anybody who's legally there. So a guest, and the example that's been used the most is a babysitter.
Yes.
If you have a babysitter in the house, they're now covered by the castle doctrine as well.
I like that.
The other really big change to the Missouri law is the stand your ground rule. Used to, in the self-defense situation, you had to retreat if you were in public from an attacker. You no longer have to do that. You have the right to defend yourself where you stand, which is why it's called the stand your ground law.
Okay, and we've got to wrap it up, but the important thing to remember is it takes effect the 1st of January.
Yeah, January 1st.
Not yet.
Not yet.
All right.
Interesting
okay.
stuff, Will. Thank
Now,
you.
if you have a legal question for Will, you can email him at Worsham, at wworsham@color10.com. And, of course, he'll answer the question on the show. Always good to see you, Will.
You too.
Thanks a lot.
You too, Kelly.
All right, more Ozarks Live after this, so stay with us, please.
We brought together outstanding special purchases at Slumberland, priced so low they won't be around for long. Like this bed, incredibly priced at just $198. This tag means it doesn't get much better. Slumberland, it's a good life.
Jason Kander could have gone anywhere after law school. He chose here, Afghanistan. Now, Roy Blunt is trying to smear his record. Well, Senator, let's talk about your record. You lied to Missouri. You didn't level with us about your draft history. You even voted against increasing veterans benefits for guys like me. So, Senator Blunt, remember this. Jason Kander had our backs over there. Now we've got his. Vote Vets is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Jason Kander's attacks on Roy Blunt aren't true. Roy Blunt supports our veterans. That's why he recently received a VFW Lifetime Achievement Award. The choice is clear. Kander, expand Obamacare. Roy Blunt knows Obamacare isn't working.